Hello, manic.mercurian here with a birth chart reading. This one is for Sunday, July 9th, 1989 at 6:43 p.m. in Kirkland, Washington. And you have Sun in Cancer, Moon in Libra with Sagittarius rising. And okay, so let's just start with the Sun and the Moon. So Sun in Cancer, Moon in Libra. This combination is interesting because you have the most emotional sun sign with quite possibly the least emotional moon sign. Uh, Aquarius moon may rival Libra moon for the least emotional moon sign, but it's relatively very detached. So combining both of these, it means you are very sensitive, you are very emotional, you're definitely very empathetic towards others, but at the same time you can sort of detach. So you do feel extremes of emotion and a wide range of emotion, probably more so than most people. But at the same time, to kind of cope with that, you have that ability to detach from yourself and kind of observe your own emotions in order to, kind of see patterns or reflect or gain insight on them in order to kind of cope with them, basically. And the result of this is that you have great self-awareness. So you have some old soul placements here with Sun and Cancer, Moon and Libra. This typically indicates an old soul, especially from a young age. You would kind of always be sort of self aware. You would generally think before acting. That's pretty common with Libra moons. And you're not only very self aware, but your ability to understand your emotions means that you can understand other people very well as well. So you're very empathetic, very understanding of other people, and very understanding of human psychology. Now, with kind of zooming out here, looking at your chart in general as well, you have some other placements indicating further further suggesting that you do have very strong empathy in addition to the Cancer Sun Libra Moon, which are already indicative of that. Um, so, for instance, your Mercury is in the seventh house, Sun is in the eighth house, pretty close to the seventh house as well. So, this indicates that you're naturally kind of thinking about other people, focusing on other people. You would almost focus on others, before yourself. Like, your own needs might even be an afterthought after other people, in other words. So you're very understanding of other people. And I think this is reciprocated to some extent. You have Sagittarius rising, which means that you may come off as being more confident than you actually are. Your first impression is kind of warm and vibrant. So you're approachable to other people. You're actually very approachable. Cancer, Sun, Libra, Moon. These are both placements that other people find kind of welcoming, and people find it easy to be around you, easy to relate to you. But also that Sagittarius rising brings some like warmth and charisma into the mix here, so people enjoy that as well. And then you also have Moon in the 10th house, very close to your midheaven. So this Moon represents your emotional core, your emotions, your thoughts and feelings to some extent here. It's like the inner part of your personality, but it's up at the top of your chart in the 10th house, almost by your midheaven here. So that indicates that your inner kind of deepest emotions are actually very visible. People understand this kind of deeper part of you very easily. You're easy for people to understand. Now you do have Sun in the eighth house, which is a little bit different. So I think you have like combining all this together, I think you are very, very approachable. Like people, like you would seem very popular. Like people all from all walks of life enjoy being around you. This is also further exacerbated. Well, exacerbated makes it sound like a bad thing, but this is also strengthened by your South Node in Leo. You're just naturally good at kind of being the center of attention, and I don't even see you as being very overbearing because of your Sun and Cancer, Moon and Libra. You do have some sort of more mild or introverted placement. So on the one hand, I think people would be very drawn to you. You have this natural charisma about you. Your understanding of others, people are understanding of you. People feel understood with you. So people are very much drawn to you. You have some great charismatic placements, but at the same time, you almost seem a little bit more kind of introverted to me. You are, great at being the center of attention and great at, just dealing with people of all different walks of life. But like I said, at the same time, you seem kind of low key, laid back. You seem like you're actually more of an introvert. And I think that's something people may not even realize. People may think you're more outgoing, more confident than you actually are. And again, you do have those abilities. You do have, you could be the center of attention. You're good at that. Um, but I just want to say again, there's almost like this other side that people might not even recognize, that you can be kind of introverted as well. Okay, and you also have Venus and Mars conjunct in Leo, so this further kind of gives you some fiery flair here. So you can be very warm and outgoing, very charming, good at being the center of attention. You have South Node there, like I said too, so that indicates that especially from a young age, and your IC and Aries confirms this as well. Especially from a young age, you were probably very fiery, very outgoing. You may have been a very stubborn child. Like you wanted to be grown up already. You wanted to have that power and responsibility. You wanted to be in charge of yourself as a child. And you were very outgoing, very confident. You knew exactly what you wanted. And this would continue into the rest of your life as well. But I think you would get a little bit more kind of easygoing and mellow as you mature here. You just have this really strong, fiery upbringing, it looks like. Okay. And let's see here, which direction to go. Your North Node in third house Aquarius is indicating that so you are great at being the center of attention. You're great at being charismatic and fiery, outgoing and warm. You're great at all of that. But that's kind of your comfort zone. You're not meant to completely stay there. You can of course keep those skills and attributes. You can keep that warmth and vitality, keep that ability to be the center of attention and to work with other people. You can keep all that. That's all great. But your North Node in Aquarius is showing that you are meant in this life to incorporate more detachedness as well. Now, in the beginning of this, I did say you have that ability with your Libra Moon, so this isn't completely foreign to you. But this is indicating that sometimes it would benefit you to be more holistic in your approach. Think about the group, think about the far future, rather than being so focused on the immediate circumstances. South Node in Leo, does have a lot of strengths. You are, like I said, you're great at being with other people, being very confident, but it can be a little bit nearsighted where it is focusing on the immediate moment and it's not so much focused on the big picture. So that is, and I don't want to be critical at all because you have some great placements here. You have some, great strengths here. But the North Node in Aquarius is just indicating you're meant to go toward more of like an almost scientific mindset in Aquarius of, thinking about the whole group, the whole picture, the far future, etc., being more kind of detached a little bit. Um, so let's see. So with that in mind, I really do think that you would start out in life very outgoing and then kind of mellow out a little bit as you mature, just a little bit, and become a little bit more detached and lean toward your Libra moon. Um, let's see here. I almost want to say this isn't always accurate, but I want to say your mother may have been kind of more detached or very easygoing, very chill. With Moon in Libra. Sun in Cancer also shows that you have a strong connection with your mother, but I personally have found that most of the people with Sun in Cancer I know have very dysfunctional relationships with their mothers. I think part of that is because Pluto has been in Capricorn opposing Cancer since 2008. So you may have had kind of a strenuous relationship with your mother since 2008, which is, of course, a long time. But with Moon and Libra, that is indicative that your mom may have been more chill, laid back, easygoing, kind of more detached a little bit, not so emotional or fiery. But you definitely have this kind of fiery side that's sort of underlying. It's almost kind of subtle, but it's definitely there. It's like it's always kind of in the background. You have this kind of fiery energy too. Um, so it's interesting, it's interesting comparing and contrasting. You have the Sun in Cancer, Moon in Libra, which suggests a more kind of chill, introverted personality. Um, you do come across very kind of fiery and warm, and especially in your upbringing. Let's see here. You also have, I think you have potential for being very like kind of intuitive. Moon in Libra shows that you're very reflective. You're constantly thinking and weighing the pros and cons. Thinking about other people first, thinking before you act. And Sun in Cancer shows that and Mercury in Cancer as well, they both show that you kind of have an intuition, so you have excellent foresight. Um, these placements would indicate you have great common sense, and you can kind of just look at a person or a situation, and you can already see where it's going kind of before it happens, just because, I don't know, just you kind of just know almost inexplicably. And that's why we characterize these as old soul placements. So it's really great. You have a kind of well-rounded personality, I want to say. Like you can be warm and outgoing, but then you're also good at understanding other people, and you can be very detached and kind of just objective, but you can also be more sensitive and intuitive and bring about these, like, we call them watery energies in astrology as well. So that's good. One area that you're not so well rounded in is you sort of lack Earth energy. You do have these outer planets on Earth, Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune all in Capricorn. So that means that you just had your Saturn return the last few years. So the last few years may have been sort of challenging. You had to do something all on your own, but at the same time, they were really pivotal for you in terms of gaining responsibility, gaining maturity. In astrology, our first Saturn return that happens when we're at age 28, 29, 30 is sort of our coming of age experience. So like I said, you may have taken on some additional responsibility, or had to do something on your own where you kind of became more of an adult over the last few years here. Okay, anyway, but you do sort of lack air, so this indicates that you can get Earth is the heaviest element, so it's the most grounded. So you can become a little bit ungrounded at times. You're so warm and sensitive, and also you have that kind of intellectual energy with the moon in Libra as well. So these are all the kind of lighter elements. So they um, it shows that you can be ungrounded at times. So it also shows that you would be drawn toward earth signs, just because it's almost like a magnet. It's like whenever we lack an element, we're drawn to that in other people. So in other words, you're drawn to other people who may have Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn in their charts, because they are not like you, but they complement you, and you would complement them as well. They would help you to feel grounded. And likewise, they would benefit from your energy as well. Sometimes Earth people can be too heavy, too bogged down, and you'd bring some kind of light, kind of playful energy that would kind of help liven their spirits a little bit. So you could. The only difficulty is that because you lack Earth in your chart, it would be hard to understand each other at times. You would be so fundamentally different. So there is this kind of curiosity and attraction there, almost like, because it would almost be exotic to you, the kind of earthy, more sensual, heavier energies in people. It'd be very intriguing to you, almost in an exotic way, but at the same time, it would be hard to get really close with someone of that energy, just because they are so fundamentally different from you, I guess. Okay, well, let's talk about compatibility since we're sort of on that topic. So, the main areas I look at, of course, the sun and the moon are important for sure, but for relationships and compatibility in particular, I very much look at Venus, Mars, and the descendant. Oh, and I know you were just asking me about this as well, so maybe this will kind of, you can listen to how I approach this, and hopefully this will help. But analyzing your attraction and what you need in a long-term relationship as well, I would look much to Venus, Mars, and the descendant. Now, for you, it's pretty easy because Venus and Mars are conjunct. We call it married or coupled. They're in agreement. They're in alliance at 13, 14 degrees of Leo. And Venus and Mars, they are almost like yin and yang of one another. Venus being the feminine and Mars being the masculine, they both represent desire. And they both have much to do with our approach with relationships. Venus is more of the kind of romantic side of the relationship, so it has much to do with your general approach to relationships, as well as anything you desire. But Mars is more masculine, so it's more the sexual side of our personalities, more the masculine side of relationships, so it ends up being kind of sexual. But for you, both are in Leo, so that kind of simplifies it. So together, Venus and Mars represent what we are attracted to in other people. it doesn't always indicate something that's necessarily, like just because you're attracted to someone doesn't mean that it's it's the best or ideal situation long term, if you get what I'm saying. So Venus and Mars, it indicates what you're attracted to. It doesn't always necessarily indicate what you need in a long term situation. For that, I would look to the descendant. But I think combining all of them is the best so that you can be attracted to someone, but also have that long term compatibility. So, anyway, so Venus and Mars and Leo, it means that you're attracted to fiery personalities. And it means that you have this kind of fiery energy in relationships as well. Um, Venus and Leo means that in relationships you're very playful, very outgoing, spontaneous, energetic, kind of you like to lead sometimes in some ways here. And with your Sagittarius rising, the ascendant descendant axis very much indicates a lot about relationships. Um, Ascendant and descendant are always exactly 180 degrees apart from one another, so they're always exactly opposite. And the ascendant is the self, it's your identity, it's who you are. And when we compare and contrast that from the descendant is how you view other people and also what you expect from other people and what you need from other people. And it's very, it tells a lot about what you need in a relationship. So you yourself, your identity is more Sagittarius, but in a relationship, you would want someone who's more Gemini. And combining the Sagittarius rising with your Venus and Mars and Leo, this very much indicates to me that you would want to be the leader in the relationship. You would probably initiate, you would take the first move or what have you, and you'd be very expressive with someone. You'd be very, excited and outgoing, very passionate, very, warm and kind of bubbly and just spontaneous and just very focused on your own self-expression and kind of sharing that with someone else, and then they would kind of just enjoy the ride in a way. Descendant in Gemini is also very playful and very active, but it's more of a follower compared to Leo or Sagittarius. So Gemini can totally keep up with you. So you want someone playful, lively, kind of who has a youthful vibe like you do. You do with all your fire energy. You are kind of almost childlike at times, or just very playful, very adventurous, for instance. And Gemini is a lot of those things too. So you would want a partner who's also very playful, adventurous. But like I said, at the end of the day, you are more of the leader. You're the more fiery, more confident person. Gemini's more scattered, and so Gemini enjoys kind of following someone else's lead. Gemini, can be a talker as well, but they also like listening. They like that back and forth. Um, so yeah, so this indicates to me you really want like a playful, fun dynamic. That would not only be what you're attracted to with your Venus and Mars in Leo, but that's also what you want in a really long-term situation. That's what you need, in a one-on-one partnership. Um, and with your Sagittarius rising and Gemini descendant, it would be kind of an so this axis, the Sagittarius Gemini axis, is interesting because it is very kind of physical in nature, very adventurous, but it's also very intellectual. It's a very intellectual axis. So you might want someone, especially with your descendant in Gemini, you'd be attracted to someone who's maybe a little bit more cool and detached, someone who's a jack of all trades, someone who knows a little bit about many different subjects. So maybe someone sort of intelligent and intellectual, and someone adaptable. You would kind of respect that and desire that in a partner. Um, so yeah, so combining all of that together, it shows to me you do want someone kind of warm and playful, but someone who can also be a little bit detached, not take themselves so seriously, and someone who's curious, intellectual, playful. Um, I know I'm just throwing adjectives at you, but hopefully that kind of makes sense here. Um, and with Jupiter in the seventh house and Mercury in the seventh house as well, these indicate that you might want someone who's like almost teaching you in some way, especially with the Gemini influence there. So you want someone who that you're kind of the leader, but at the same time they might be sort of a teacher for you in some way. They might help you kind of be more philosophical or analytical and sort of think about things more, I guess, if that makes sense. um, and you, I don't think, like, you would be intellectual as well with your Sagittarius rising, but you're more active, you're more outgoing, more playful, more physical, more wanting to go on those like adventures or just do things. Um, but they would kind of bring this more, a little bit more detached or more light energy and more kind of, thoughtful or intellectual, philosophical, etc. Um, okay. Yeah, but it is interesting. So Mars in Leo, um, so Venus is sometimes what kind of feminine personality we're attracted to, but Mars is what kind of masculine personality we're attracted to. Either way, you'd be attracted to someone with Leo placements. But also, like I said, the descendant in Gemini is it's a very strong indicator. So you would need some kind of airiness in a partner. So that would be Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra. And this works well too. You have Moon in Libra, so you already resonate a lot with that. You can be kind of detached and intellectual, and just kind of curious, kind of, being detached gives you the advantage of, it becomes very mental because you can kind of imagine different things and learn about different things, or, so you already resonate with those energies anyway, so that it makes compatibility for you pretty easy. I think it would be relatively easy for you to find someone that would kind of click or check all these boxes, if you will. And this is also great because if someone is airy, they would benefit your North Node in Aquarius. So, especially bringing maybe some more intellectual or philosophical themes to the table. This would help. This is the way you're meant to evolve in this life anyway. So that would kind of help you to evolve. Um, so that looks very strong. It looks like a pretty easy dynamic. It fits pretty well with everything in your chart. Um, so yeah, so before I wrap up the relationship or compatibility part of this, I would say someone with air placements is the most important. I always stick to the descendant more than anything for relationship compatibility. So maybe someone with Gemini placements or Libra, your moon is there, so that would work well too. Maybe Aquarius, that could be a little bit more difficult at times, but definitely Gemini or Libra. And then a little bit of fire as well. That would be really fun for you. Someone fire you would be kind of fun, and that would be easy for you as well. So it's interesting because you are Cancer, which is water. That is a different energy, but you really want someone kind of more outgoing and fun. I think someone with a little tiny bit of earth in their chart might be good for you just to kind of help ground. And being a water sun, you do want to be grounded. You can feel kind of, emotionally out of control at times. So someone with a little bit of earth in their chart would be kind of perfect too. Okay, and let's look around here. Um, so you're born during a first quarter moon, which indicates restlessness in the personality. It also indicates that growing up, your parents may have been very different. Your parents may have maybe not always gotten along, or they just had almost like clashing energies. And so growing up, you almost didn't really know what was expected of you, or um, there was this kind of like restlessness in the home, is how I would interpret this. So there's pros and cons of this. The con is that it's hard for you to relax. It's like you're always kind of going. Um, you're more restless, or you're more prone to maybe anxiety a little bit. But the plus side of this is that you pretty much the same thing. You're always kind of going. So this would indicate that you're always like thinking or analyzing. You're always kind of doing something. So it can make you kind of more productive in a way. Um, okay, and then let's talk about career wise. I haven't really touched on that. So the first thing I would say is you are excellent with people. I really see that in your chart in many different places. So, it would be a waste not to capitalize on that, especially with your moon conjunct midheaven in Libra. Midheaven is our career and our public image, and being in Libra, it means that you're seen as being very diplomatic, very compromising, very accommodating, and also with Moon very close to the midheaven, um, and the Sun in Cancer and other placements as well. You be so understanding of people. People, you know, find you approachable. Um, People would find you enjoyable to talk to, and what else here? And yeah, you would be very kind of nurturing or comforting. You'd be naturally accommodating for other people. So there's a whole range of jobs that would be great for that. Anything where you're kind of, I don't know, serving people or customer service related. You'd be great at management too, though, because so cancer placements are great at management because cancer is like the mother. Mother is almost like the manager of the home in a way. They kind of want to make sure everyone's sort of taken care of, and they're kind of focusing on that little tribe that they have or that group of people that they're working with. So, and then that combined with your Libra Moon is always thinking ahead, kind of planning. So they have that foresight. So you'd be great at customer service, great at anything that involves like sales or having a nice personality that you can get along with other people. But you'd also be really great at management. You know, something to do with like organizing people or kind of leading other people. Another thing, you would be an excellent leader too because of that more fiery energy in your chart. I think people would not only find you pleasant to be with and easy to be with, but they'd also find you respectable with your some of that strong, confident, fiery energy as well. So really, there's a whole range. I don't think it'd be difficult for you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, just something where you're with people, though. I think that's the most important thing. Something where you're helping with people or collaborating with people, something of that nature. Okay, I've covered most of the basics. I just want to touch on maybe one main thing here. So you have these three outer planets in your first house, and whenever we have planets in our first house, they pretty much characterize who we are. And so this kind of takes your chart in a different kind of twist, in a different direction here. These three planets are all retrograde, so they're all more kind of internal, more backward, more reflective, more intuitive. Um, and they're more outer planets. So when we have the planets that are more outer are generally more abstract, more I don't know, philosophical, or more kind of weird, more I'm having trouble articulating it. Like the planets closer to the sun are more mundane, more short term. They're easier to understand. They're more I don't know how to describe it. They're like more vivid colors, like primary colors. And then as you go farther out, they become more, different kind of more ambiguous, more abstract. Um, Hopefully I'm articulate. Hopefully you understand. But so with these outer planets in your first house, it shows that you actually have kind of a more like unusual vibe to you, or more um, like unique, or like you're a little bit of a weirdo. Like you have that eccentricity, I guess I could say. Especially with Uranus in the first house, it shows that you're kind of maybe a little bit of a rebel at times. But it's interesting. You also have Saturn there, and these planets almost kind of have conflicting messages here. So Uranus retrograde shows that you refrain from whatever's new. So whatever's like new and trendy and the newest technology or the newest fad or whatever it is that everyone's getting into, you kind of refrain from that. You're a little bit set in your ways, not so much, ready to jump on whatever everyone else is doing. But at the same time, you have Saturn retrograde, which indicates you're also sort of refraining from traditions. You're not so much wanting to jump into, really conservative traditions either. um, so I guess it creates a balance where you know, you'll you'll watch other people and see them try whatever the new thing is first, and then decide if you want to do it. And then also you'll have that same approach with like these older traditions, the like the structure of society or whatever's been expected of us from for a long time. You're a little bit hesitant with that as well. So it's kind of clashing, but it makes a sort of balanced personality. And then lastly, you have Neptune retrograde in Capricorn, and Saturn conjunct Neptune. It means that you're very cautious with beliefs or philosophies. Like you don't necessarily jump on the most wild ideas. So like even astrology, for instance, you may have been very kind of cautious with, and like it really needs to make sense to you for you to continue to engage with it. You'd be, almost kind of skeptical of you'd have a healthy skepticism with anything related to spirituality or metaphysics or, even, I don't know, maybe even music. Neptune often rules music. So with that Saturnian and Capricornian influence there, you'd almost be kind of hesitant with any of that. You'd be um, disciplined with it. Like it really would need to have value and substance there for you to engage with it. So you're not just wanting to get into any crazy random, belief system or whatever it is. Okay, and then it's interesting. So you have Saturn retrograde. Saturn retrograde sometimes indicates an absent father. Now Saturn's retrograde, I think it's up to like 40% of the time. I don't know the exact figure, but it's a decent chunk of the time that Saturn spends retrograde. So not everyone with Saturn retrograde will have an absent father, but it does show that potential for maybe your dad was absent part of your life, or maybe he just worked a lot or something like that. Um, and with it opposing your sun, hmm, yeah, there's almost like this clash there. There's almost this disconnect. And I think in general, sometimes with your sun in Cancer and your Sagittarius rising, your parents may not always totally understand you. They, like, there's this disconnect there. They sort of expected you to be maybe a little bit different, or um, they wanted you to be a certain way, and you don't always necessarily fit that. I think you can sometimes. Like, they wanted you to be more like kind of fiery and like philosophical and rebellious, and you can be those things, but you also have this side too that's more uh, relaxed or subdued, more introverted. Um, Hopefully that makes sense. I hope this has been accurate for you. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I covered everything. Hmm. You have Mercury conjunct Chiron in Cancer, so that almost makes me think that you would be the way you think and communicate is geared toward helping others or kind of seeing people's personal traumas, and that kind of matches with these other placements in your chart as well. You would kind of just see through people. You can see really deep things with other people, I think. Anyway, I hope this has been accurate for you. Let me know what you think, or if you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer or help with any of that. And for anyone else, if you would like a reading of your own, you can email me at manic.mercurian@gmail.com. But thanks for watching, and thanks for this request, and I'll see you later.